What's happening, everybody? TK here, TK and Drinks, and we've got another live interview coming at you today. Woo, excuse me, I'll have a big old yawn. It's been a busy day doing some remodeling here at the RV and whatnot, getting that mobile mead machine kick-ass and ready for some cool, interior videos and whatnot. But that aside, today's live interview is going to be with Mr. Brian Bookmiller, who is the, I believe, owner and head mead maker there at Queen City Meadery in West Seneca, New York, which I guess is just like right in the Buffalo area. So Buffalo, New York. So this cat's always dealing with some cold weather. Got the request, hit the accept button. All these people showing up. Yes. Let's see. What's going on, Steven, over there, Eighth Wing? What's going on, Brian? How you doing tonight?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty damn good today, actually. Like I said, a little bit on the tired side. I've been doing some work around the house, but this is actually the perfect time for that. I usually do these interviews a little later, but I'm dying to get into a mead right now, so I figure that's this perfect reason to do it, right?
Always a good time for some mead.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for showing up. For those who might not know who you are, give yourself a quick little introduction, a little intro about Queen City Meadery.
Yeah,
if you could, please.
sure. So, my name is Brian Bookmiller. I'm one of the co-owners of Queen City Meadery. I am the head mead maker and kind of jack of all trades here with my other esteemed owners. We've been open since late 2018, and we survived the pandemic, and we're coming out of it. And
Nice.
we're looking pretty good at this point, and ready for expansion and trying to figure out those those parts of the plan and move forward. So yeah, it's a pretty exciting time for us.
Excellent, man. Glad to hear that you guys survived all the baloney and everything that was going on and got to, with all the red tape and regulation changes and everything. Was there something big you guys had to do? I mean, you said you were open at 18, so I mean, you guys had a couple years under your belt to at least develop somewhat of a following.
Yeah, so we opened December 18, late in December. So we had about a year and a few months, and then
Yeah.
we obviously are in New York State, so COVID restrictions back then were pretty harsh. We had to
Yeah.
limit floor space and seating, and everyone, in order to eat, have a drink, someone had to have something to eat.
Right.
So it was a lot of red tape, but it opened up some avenues with mail order, and our bottle business really took off at that point because a lot of people are
Sure.
drinking home with friends and family. So
Yep.
before that point, we were really more of a bar and a tavern where people would hang and drink. And
Sure.
after COVID, we became transitioned more to a bottle shop now, which is great. People buy bottles and go. So it's turned out pretty good for us.
Right on. Looks like the chat's jumping off here. Looks like you got a new follower. The cat's out in Portland, Oregon. Queen Weird Leather and Meadworks said they've never heard of you all till now, but they're going to make sure to give you all a follow. There's some good dudes out there.
Awesome. Thanks,
And then
guys.
looks like
We're also on VinoShipper.com. So we do
very
ship
cool.
to some states around the country. We keep most
Yeah.
of our best sellers and the ones we constantly have in stock on that site. So.
Oh, very cool. Yeah. And I was just looking at those here a little bit ago. 16 to about $24 for your 750 bottles. A little bit more for the barrel aged stuff, which comes with the
Yeah.
territory. Anytime you get something that's barrel aged, you're going to pay a little more for it. But usually, they almost always deliver that,
Oh yeah.
worth that little extra price tag.
Yeah. Our barrel aged stuff. We started producing those a couple of years ago, and I'll tell you, I love them. I love the complexity that the long-term barrel aging adds to all of our meads. Whether it's bourbon, we're trying to experiment with some rum barrels now. And you pair that up with like a cherry or a black currant. And, we're doing a new one with peach, peach and lemon, which is going to be phenomenal when it comes out this fall. So I
Very
really
cool.
love that aspect of it. Really adds a twist to a lot of meads.
Let me put a pin on that peach and lemon one real quick. I want to get into this mead. I'm drinking one from Charm City Meadworks. It's a quince honey, mesquite blossom honey, Mayambo honey, and maple syrup mead. Sounds like it's got a lot going on there.
Oh my God. those guys at Charm, they do a great job. I've bought some of their stuff and had it. And, I love the fact that they're out there trying new and different stuff. And, I'll tell you, I love the proverbial laboratory at home where you got 10 bottles of stuff just going at any time, seeing what works, crazy combinations. And
Yeah.
sometimes the best ones, are things you never thought of. When we first opened up, I came out with a strawberry banana, and
Nice.
and I,
Love that.
and I was like, you know what? It sounds good. I'll make it, and it was a winner. And it's always on our menu. It's never not here.
It's never not here. That should even be its name. Never not here.
Yeah.
Uh,
Some things turn out to be good sellers that you don't expect, and stuff you're thinking, oh, people are going to love this one. For some reason, just it doesn't connect. But
yeah.
I love Charm City. Total props to them and what they do.
Not nearly as dry as I was expecting. I've had some stuff from them that was like bone dry before, but
Yeah,
definitely nice and earthy on the aromatics.
Yeah, I'll tell you, with all that honey in there, I wouldn't do bone dry for myself, just because
Oh yeah.
if I'm going to pay all that money for all that awesome honey, I want to taste it a little bit. So,
Definitely.
that's the thing with dry, and plus if it's dry, it's hard to hide any imperfections.
Oh yeah.
So, you can invest all that money, and who knows, maybe your temperature probe goes off in your fermenter and it's at 75 degrees for a day and you don't know. So,
Oh
I'm sure that tastes great. Yeah, I got it. One
yeah.
of my
Now
new
you're
ones
drinking nail
here.
polish remover.
Yeah, exactly. We've all been there. It happens.
Yeah.
I'm drinking one of our newest
Yeah.
ones. It's called Don't Touch the Mango. It's
Okay.
a mango habanero session mead.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, it's great. I love mango and I love habanero hot sauce. So you get that sweetness, and then you get that subtle burn on the backside, which is wonderful. It's one of my new favorites. So,
Very
cheers.
cool. Yeah. Yeah. Cheers, Skull.
Yeah. So,
So yeah, back to this peach and lemon mead. So what I'm getting ready to add some lemon to a home brew that I'm doing, and I've never worked with it before. So I'm trying to get everybody's takes on how they do lemon in their profile, and kind of just build up a little bit of knowledge here.
So, I've tried lemon many ways, and the way I always gravitate toward is lemon zest, because it really gives you that lemony flavor with the aromatics, but it doesn't really change the acidity too much, like doing straight orange slices and, lemon juice. So we've also made another mead. It was like an iced tea mead, cold brewed iced tea with lemon zest. We got another one coming out in next weekend. It's called it's a collab with a local beer group. It's called the Ninkasi Beach Goddess, and it's a piment / session. It's a Sauv Blanc with orange blossom honey, little peach and lemon zest is in that as well, and it tastes great. You get that Sauv Blanc up front, then you get the little peach, then you get that honey finish with the lemon for a brightness note on the top. It's going to be a great one. I'm really happy about that.
That
So we're
sounds
doing more with peaches.
really good.
Yeah, we're doing more with peaches now. So,
Heck yeah.
I had
So
I had a couple peach drinks last summer, and I was like, God,
oh yeah.
I don't see a lot of peach meads, and it's because they're very soft. So we actually found a
Yeah.
really good source for peach juice locally, and we got it going.
Yeah, some of the flavors as I get into more into homebrewing and stuff, I'm really starting to understand. There's like certain flavors you really have to put in your pounds per gallon, so to speak, to really get the offset. You can't just go as a standard. Hey, I'm going to do 5 pounds per gallon. Sometimes that's a little intense, and sometimes that's almost not nearly enough.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. With the peach, very soft flavor, we had to do a little more of that. With the mango, we used for the first time a mango puree, and that was very
Nice.
soft. So we had the up the percentage on the mango more than I would juice. The juice we get is filtered and crushed, and it's very clean. So we don't need to put a lot of that. But the puree and the peach was a little different. Those are softer flavors for sure.
So you're saying you got a softer flavor out of the puree than the juice. I wonder if that's because the juice, was it 100% juice, not from concentrate?
Yeah, it was not from concentrate. This is pressed juice. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
We're very lucky in the we're very lucky in the Buffalo area. We have a local juice and wine juice producer, and
Nice.
it's called Walker's is their name. They're about 45 minutes away from here, and they press grapes from all over, and they send the juice out to wineries all over the world. And
That's cool.
they do a lot of fruit juices as well. And I'm very lucky. They're 45-minute drive. I can get the juice. But, it's like I said, it's fully processed juice, not from concentrate. They crush and screen and press everything there. So during COVID, it was a little tough, because one of the big things with COVID was they couldn't find workers locally to process it. And there was a problem with blackberry yields that summer. So they had the blackberry prices went through the roof. And so that's been a challenge. Yeah. But they do a good job pretty much. And it's good juice, good quality stuff.
Okay, so how would you describe your, you got all these different, seemingly fairly complex, multi-layered flavor profiles. How would you describe, or would you say you guys fit into like a certain category? Like we focus on like sweets, or we focus on dries, or only, or do you kind of do like the whole breadth of the mead spectrum there?
So we definitely are mostly a semi-sweet place.
Okay.
Right? We do have a couple sweet meads. And that's really only by customer demand. You've heard of the sugar belt, the Michigan sugar belt. Well, Buffalo, although we're part of New York State, a lot of people don't know where we are. We're on the complete west side of the state, and we have a lot of Midwestern tendencies, and a lot of those tendencies are also sugar and a lot of sweet. And when we first opened, we didn't have a sweet mead for years, and finally, one of our former partners, who was also the mead maker, he was like, you know what, I'm just going to make a sweet mead. Hell of it, right? And he made a product called Red Potion, and it's a sweet strawberry. Okay. And we ferment with strawberry juice, and we put a ton of strawberries in secondary. And this literally tastes like strawberry jam,
Nice.
And it's one of our best sellers. People can't get enough of it. It really tastes just like super strawberry, and it's great. And it's fresh strawberries. It's real strawberries.
How sweet are we talking? Like, where's it finish at? We talking like?
It's from a gravity perspective, it's about a 23 to a 25 on average. Yeah, 0 to 3.
23 to 25 bricks.
Yeah.
10, 25, 10, 35. I got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're about 1023. Yeah. So that's usually our highest, 1023 to 125. We also have another one called Jolly Good, which is black currant. So I'm a big black currant fan. I love black currant. Black currant is super tart, right? Super, super tart. So that one's also in the sweet range as well, because with a lot of tartness, you gotta balance it with some sweetness, or otherwise it's a bitter beer face.
Right. Yeah, definitely on that one. That's actually what I like about black currants. Probably some of my favorite meads are black currant ones, because they have that natural tartness and acidity that creates that just, again, natural like juxtaposition for the sweetness from the honey. So you can really ramp the sweetness up on those and still get a good balance. It's like built in. Plus the tannins, again, come naturally from the berry skin. So yeah. I'm all for black currant meads.
I love black currant. We did a black currant still called High Maintenance. So it was black currant and vanilla beans. Then we aged in a bourbon barrel. And my God, it is such an amazing mead. We sold out. It was one of our quickest sellers. We got a second batch, sitting in the tanks already. So it's, I love black currant. I could drink it all day. It's by far my favorite. We have a lot of products with it. Our Admiral product has it. Amy product has it. We got another one coming out called Back in Black, which is a blackberry black currant session, and that'll be on the drier side. I love it. I can't get enough of black currant.
Looking back at your taps, I see 10, 11, and 12. So how many taps do you guys have?
We got 16 taps.
Ooh, hot dang, man. So you guys got I'm assuming that they're all going at all times.
Oh, yeah.
These
are all on tap. And, I have 4 tanks that I'm constantly chugging stuff in and out of, whether it's a seasonal or something one of our mainstay products. And I'm always trying to keep it fresh and interesting, because A lot of people
Sure.
like that. We have our core meads, and then we cycle in new ones in and out all the time, and seasonals that we have now. So
Do you guys fill crowlers and growlers and howlers and all the different
yeah,
owlers?
yeah, you got it. We do crawlers as well. Absolutely.
Nice.
Yeah. So we're actually just starting to can meads now. We've since
Okay.
we've opened, we bottled both stills and sessions. And bottle prices are just, and the shipping is just really crazy now.
Oh yeah.
Especially our session bottles. They came from Belgium because they're Belgian bombers, and the prices
Oh
on
yeah.
those are so. Yeah, the shipping costs now are so high. We're switching to cans now. So
Yeah, those canning situations seem to be much more common. A lot of people bringing in like the mobile canning lines, and then even upgrading to just internal canning lines. I've seen everything from like home presses where they got the drill that's running the canning machine and everything like that. The full internal setup. I can't. I can only imagine those things are got to be into the five figures
oh
for a
yeah,
decent setup.
yeah.
So
The mobile canning industry is really starting to kick off.
yeah,
Where these guys just have mobile canners in a trailer. They'll pull up
yeah,
to your place and they'll charge you X amount per can or whatever. We got a small canner in the back that we're using now. But once we start getting bigger batches soon, when we expand, we're probably going to
yeah.
work with a local canner and just do runs when we need them.
That's cool. And see, it seems to be, I hear a lot more positive stories about it. Like about 3 years ago, I was hearing, I'd say about 50-50 mixed reviews. Some people loved it and some people were avidly against it, had bad experiences. Now, I don't think in the past 6 months I've heard anybody that I know that uses mobile canning has had a bad experience. So that certainly is definitely a step in the positive direction, especially with a lot more places like yourself. And, I see
Yeah,
tons of meaderies now going to cans, again, for the same reason like you're saying, with the glass prices, and then
oh yeah,
the glass shortages. You can't be you're guaranteed that you're going to be able to get these same things,
hmm
especially when you need them. So now forget all that.
yeah.
So I'm
And,
definitely on board with the canning line.
and I'll tell you what, especially from a retail perspective on the sessions, it's easier to stack a couple of things of cans on a rack versus these tall glass bottles for the session. So I think it's really going to help our retail exposure and be able to stack, and have these really cool fancy labels that we all see on beers now that are attention grabbers. And then keep our regular still products in the classic. Yeah, see, exactly. And then
Yeah.
keep our still products in the classic labels in the liquor stores and wine shops.
No, I think that's a fantastic plan. I mean, you seem to be playing to your strong suits and,
Mhm.
trying to adjust and change to the market to keep, to keep up with the ebb and flow of the persnickety mead drinkers out there.
Well, there's a lot more competition. I mean, when
Oh
we
yeah.
first opened up in 2018, there was one other meadery in Buffalo, and they opened up like a year before we did. And we were in the planning stages, and then they opened up. We're like, because we wanted to be the first in the area. And then
Yeah.
and 5 years later, there's now 5 meaderies locally now,
Oh,
which
holy cow. I'm not sure
yeah,
I knew that.
yeah. So props to my local guys, Lily Bell, A10 Mead Works, Illumination, 716 Mead People, and
I
us.
have to
Yeah,
go scope all these guys out.
yeah, yeah. It's great to have local competition because
Sure.
I look at it this way: rising water helps lifts all ships, right?
Yeah.
And it gets our awareness out because I'll tell you, there's people still locally who think we're a butcher shop. They're like, meat? You're a meatery? And as a joke, I want to hang sausages out our windows and stuff. And
Oh, that's
and
great.
it's still an education process. We every time I talk to someone, I make sure I explain to them what it is and what we do, and they're like, "Really? You guys are there?" And I'm like, "Come on out!"
Yep.
And they're never disappointed, never. And we're just slowly spreading that word, and really kind of keep that awareness.
The fact that I hear the same story from people all over the country doing a variety of different styles, they're always being able to bring in a clientele
Mhm.
um, that is, happy with their product. The fact that, there's certainly, unfortunately, there's been some meaderies that have closed down in the past, several years. But for the most part, I'd say there's not a giant rate of attrition. I think we have a certainly increasing number of meaderies all the
Mhm.
time, and everybody's staying in business selling good products. So I think that the meat industry could potentially have a giant boom in not giant boom, but because I think the prices of mead really kind of keep a mass growth. But we could at least see a boom in sales and a boom in just knowledge and awareness and everything. I think that would probably be the bigger thing is
Yeah.
awareness, because I'm sure you guys do a ton of advocacy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. One of the biggest challenges for us is pricing right now. The
Sure.
cost of honey is way up. Juice is way up, and mead wasn't cheap to begin with, right?
Right.
Even when we started 4 or 5 years ago, and we've had to raise our prices due to inflation, whether it's the glasses or cans or labels or honey or juice or
Mm-hmm.
labor costs. It's all gone up dramatically in the past couple of years. So just this year, we raised our base prices for the first time since we opened. We had to. I mean, meaderies live on margin, and because we don't sell a lot traditionally, unless you're the big guys,
Right.
right? So we finally gave in, raised our prices this year. But it's tough to tell someone,
But even
hey, you're going to buy this great mead. It's got, it's gluten free. Most of our stuff is gluten free, and it's all
yeah,
natural, and it's honey, and versus going out and buying a 6-pack of beer for $8, or whatever it is, or
sure.
$10. So it's tough. But the people we do convert, I mean, they're converted. They love it. So
Right. And that's why I think I wish a lot more wine drinkers were open to the concepts of mead, and the fact that there's cats out there like yourself and Charm City out there doing focusing on that drier to semi-sweet. I think that's a necessary beast to help convert those wine drinkers over. And then, like you said, your sugar belt people, they're obviously going to have the craft beer nerds swoon over that stuff. And then, but I still think there's a place for that with the wine drinkers, with your port drinkers, with your sherry drinkers. There's no reason why they can't have something that's a nice, high end sweet, just overly ridiculous sipping mead. 2 ounces is all you need. That's going to last you the evening because it's so intense. But I still think there's a place for all of those things in the mead world.
Yeah, and I think that's why we have such a wide variety. And it's funny. One of the biggest things people say when they leave here is, I don't know what to buy, because I liked so many of them, and
one of everything.
Yeah, I know, it's a good problem to have. But a lot of this too was also experimentation and finding winners and losers, right?
Yeah.
Because before we opened, we had our 20 or 30 we perfected and did over the years, and
Sure.
cycle some of those in and out, and some connect, some don't. And I try, and I always, because we have so many, I always tell people, I know there's going to be at least one you're going to love here, and because we have such a wide, off dry, semi-sweet, sweet, different, fruits, different styles. And
Right.
I try to find something for everyone.
That's good, man. Being all inclusive, it certainly, widens your customer base. You can get, like you said, if you have something for everybody, no matter who walks through that door, you're going to be making the sales, opposed to people that kind of more niche themselves in an already niche market. That can be kind of a difficult situation to put yourself in there.
Yeah, well, and plus, I mean, I was watching that podcast last night on and they're talking to they were talking about meads, and it was with Manic Meadery, and he's like, we're a winery. Yeah, and it was great podcast. It was about seminars in the industry, and he's like, we're a winery. We chug out normal wine, Sauv Blancs, and,
all the time,
and we have that and like we got this one, the Beach Goddess one I was telling you, the Sauv Blanc with peach, and that one we really kicked up the Sauv Blanc on, just because working with the girls that were the collaboration, they're like, yeah, it'd be more cool if you guys can do something more along this, and I was like, we totally can. We're a winery. Why not?
Yeah.
And I'm always there to make stuff that people want, and maybe down the road we'll get some big old wine barrels and start pressing out some cabs. I don't know. So it's great flexibility. If we could bring those wine drinkers in and then try mead, I don't care if it's a gateway drink. It's fine by me.
Right.
Get them on our team.
Yeah, and I think Manic Meadery is one of those I say rare, but one of the more unique places that does all that. You know, they do
Mhm.
everything from bone dry white and red wines all the way up to crazy dessert, sweet, unique 200 ml bottles for $45 because there's so many adjuncts and crazy stuff. Yeah, Tony's a huge inspiration for me.
Yeah, he's
And yeah,
he
I
does
agree with
he
you.
does some great stuff. Love it.
And I agree with you though that why not take advantage of those other things? You know, if you're
Mhm.
got some space to put the barrels in there, I say start making up the grape wines too. I would love to see a mead maker, or I love when I get to see mead makers' takes on grape wines.
Mhm.
It brings joy to my heart.
Yeah, we've done a couple Pyments here, which I love.
Yeah.
One of ours, I think it won at the was it the National Honey Board last year, the year before for gold. It's a Riesling Pyment with orange blossom honey, and
Hmm.
we're very lucky in the Western New York area that we're next to the Finger Lakes, and they have some of the best Riesling, grapes in the United
Nice.
States, and they're right there. And
Yeah.
I was telling you about that place Walkers, which is right
Yep.
by us. They'll get grapes from there and press them, and we use that Riesling juice, with our Pyments. And it's one of my favorites, slightly chilled. It's wonderful. Great for dinners. Great for picnics and Saturday
Yeah.
afternoons.
Can you get skins and stuff from them too?
I've never asked.
Fair
I've
enough.
never
That's
asked. Yeah,
a
I've never
solid answer.
asked. Yeah, never asked.
Um,
We our tanks. We don't have very large tanks here. We're a pretty small place, and my production
gotcha.
room is not very big, right? So I make the best, the most of it, and so that's why we crank out a lot of small batches. You know.
No, I completely understand that. You know, you have all these different flavor profiles you're doing. You said you're hitting everything from off dry up to sweet. Do you have a particular method that you use for building your layered flavor profiles, or do you kind of just play it differently for each flavor as you design it?
We definitely play different for each flavor. I look at, the big thing for me is, sweet versus tart qualities.
Sure.
Tannins. You got to have your tannins. You got to have your balance. And I'll do 10, different teeny batches of the same thing with different levels of experiments. So I get it to a zone I like. I mean, I usually picture it in my mind, and I can do
Hmm.
the rate. I've been doing it long enough. I can kind of picture the ratios. It's 10% or 20%. And 40, 50, 50% honey and water. But I'm a big believer in fermenting the juice with the honey. I know some
Okay.
places
Yeah.
back sweeten, but I really love the complexity that the juice with the honey and different yeast profiles add when you ferment them together. I think it just creates a more unique and complex flavor than just back sweetening with some stuff. And like I said, some of our stuff we ferment with the juice and back sweeten with the fruit in secondary, and just toss it right in there to give it that jammy quality. So
You do that for your stills and for your sessions, or for your
no,
sessions, do you
no.
build just kind of
So
like a base? And
for the only a few sessions do we put fruit in secondary as well. It's only the
oh,
sessions.
okay,
Usually the stills we put enough juice in and enough honey in so that it shines on its own. So it's only the
okay,
sessions where we want that extra fruity kick. When it's nice and cold out and hot out and got that cold mead. I really, and
definitely.
it depends on the fruit you're using too.
And you carbonate your session meads, or are they just low
Uh,
ABVs?
we low carb. We stay under that magical threshold, so they're very petulant. As they say.
Yes. Yeah.
So we're staying under that. So
Okay.
very low carb, but you don't need a lot of carbonation to change the mouthfeel and the flavor of it. It gives it just enough, right?
Eh,
So it's a very low carb.
yeah, I'm here for that too, because the ones that are over carb kind of give me like more of your generic domestic beer type of super
Mhm.
foamy and super heady,
Yeah.
and like that's not really my thing. I like something that's nice and, like you said, adds a little bit of mouthfeel, a little bit of body to it, is a little bit
Yeah.
adds to the character, doesn't just like become a whole thing and mess all on its own.
Yeah. I mean, we did a nitro coffee mead, last year, and because the ratio of nitrogen to CO2 is like 25% carbonation. In order to get any, we had to turn it up higher than normal, but because it's low carb, it was still within, those low thresholds. But
Gotcha.
that did add a nice twist to it because we actually, it gave it really almost that Guinness mouthfeel type thing with the coffee meads. Yeah, so it was really interesting. Yeah.
Now that's something I haven't seen too many people do, and I like that concept. When you said the Guinness mouthfeel, I was starting to think, wait, what do you mean? But they do. They have that little, if at least from the cans and the bottles, they have that
Yeah.
little widget or whatever, and
Yeah, it's they call it the Guinness mix. So it's 75% nitrogen, 25% CO2. And that
oh, okay,
nitrogen produces a smaller, smoother bubble, which gives it that
right.
creaminess, so we did that with the coffee mead last year, which was pretty neat.
Just
So
so, is that something you're considering doing again? I love that concept. And I've talked to a lot of people. I haven't seen that one before.
I got it on tap right over there.
Oh, dude, man,
Right there. And there's a bottle of it. So
and there's bottles of it right there, and those are online, right?
yeah, on our website. So if you're in New York
Yep, or
State,
on
you can
Vino
order.
Shipper.
Yeah, if you're in New York State, you can order all of our products, but
Sure.
through Vino Shipper, we just have our main ones. Yeah.
Yeah, I hate that Vino Shipper does certain rules and regulations. I don't know exactly what it is. I've never had to deal with them on your end type of thing, but I know I always see ones on from different places. Restrictions for shipping to this state, or can't ship to this state or this state,
Yeah.
or special rules. It's like,
Liquor laws are very interesting. They're complex, and believe it or not, they do a great service for small guys. Because if I wanted to do mail order to those states, I would have to get a liquor license in every one of those states.
right? Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And they do that for us for a fee, obviously, and I
Right.
will gladly pay it because otherwise I'd have to file licenses, I'd have to file tax reports and all that sales tax. It's just
Right.
yeah,
Quarterly sales reports, and yeah, it's
yes,
it's an
all this,
absolute nightmare.
yeah. So
Yeah.
cheers to Vino Shipper. They help a lot of us small guys out who don't have the manpower to do all that legal work and reporting. So yeah, they do it for us.
And it's cool that there gets to be something like that for wine, because you can't. I've never seen anything like that for craft beer. I mean, there's a handful of things out there, but nothing quite as robust as a Vino Shipper type of profile.
Yeah. I've never seen anything like that for beer, and I'm not familiar with the laws, but I'm sure there's
Right.
something
Oh,
similar, or whatever. So
yeah.
yeah.
It's a whole different world with beer, unfortunately. But I do love Vino Shippers. The fact that they do what they do, which is pretty dang cool. Do you
Yeah,
think
it helps us out a lot.
well, talking about what you were earlier with the price of honey going up and juice and just everything, all the ingredients for me going up in general, price wise. Do you see some of these cats that have their fingers stretched out wide? Do you see some of them kind of pulling back, and maybe some of these national or quasi-national distribution plans kind of going by the wayside? Or do you think that those guys would just continue to sacrifice quality? In my opinion, sacrifice quality to continue numbers, volume to support mass distribution.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you a true story.
Yeah, please.
During COVID, we had a mead, and I couldn't find one type of juice. Right, I couldn't find it. My normal, it was this normal guy you normally get it from. Couldn't find it. I couldn't find it anywhere. Right, and I found another
Right.
company that had something similar. Right, but it wasn't the exact same producer. It wasn't the exact same source, and it wasn't a price thing. It was just I couldn't find it during COVID because of all the distribution issues and all that stuff.
Logistics and bullshit. Yeah.
And I made the batch, and everything else was normal except for that one thing, and I could tell the difference, and my customers could tell the difference. They're like, "This is a little different this time, isn't it, Brian?" I was like, "Yeah, So I will never do that if I can. Never turn down, our core common ingredients that we get from our normal places, because it has a huge effect, and the customers will notice. So it's, I'm always, not just with me, but everything in life. You get what you pay for,
Right. Right.
If
Oh,
you
absolutely.
buy a crummy, yeah. And the same goes for meat ingredients, So if it comes to not being able to get the right ingredient for something going forward, I just won't make it until I can find it again,
Oh, and I'm in 100% agreement with you there. I
Mhm.
like the fact that there's national distribution for some of these places because it does, get mead out there and everything. But
Mhm.
sometimes those bottles get to be so darn expensive for such small bottles. If
Mhm.
I'm going to be paying that kind of price for those bottles, I would much rather see them, come from something like you're saying with care and passion and love from somebody who's sourcing everything as not necessarily only locally, but locally and small batch and,
Mhm.
from family places around the country or even around the world. I love when I see places, we got this from a fair trade farm,
Mhm.
these cacao nibs from a fair trade farm in Uganda or something like that. Or we got this vanilla from a family farm in Hawaii or something.
Yeah.
I love seeing those types of things. So,
Yeah.
um, I,
I love it.
I would,
I thought it was funny. I was looking online last night, and Billy out at Lost Cause, he put out this large post about lemons and
yes, he did.
and the farm he got it from and the history of the family who did it. And that's and I'm it's funny. I was at the Mazer Cup 5 years ago. I
Hmm.
volunteered as a steward, before we opened here, and so we were there, and I met all these guys. I'm like, that's Billy, and that's Carvin, and all these guys, and I met them. And I remember I had at the award show there, you can try the leftovers, right?
Oh
And I
yeah.
remember I had
Oh
lost cause. I think it was Fandango, and it was like a blue agave and lime or something. And I had that, and I was like, oh my god,
yeah.
this is just the way he just does this stuff, and he really has a passion for the ingredients. And when I saw that little thing he did on lemons today or last night, I was like, that's just awesome. And that's the industry too. People
Oh
just
yeah.
really have a lot of passion for it, and that's what keeps us going. And hopefully keeps the customers coming back. So.
Yeah. Billy Belts, Tony Qualls, Alex over at Honey Pot Meadery in Anaheim. I can't, Alex Gonzalez over
Hmm.
there. I, like I just love when all those guys have one thing in common, in my opinion, is they do a whole breadth of stuff, and they don't, they're always seeking the new and the
Hmm.
unique and everything. And that's actually one of the reasons why I reached out to you, because I looked online and I don't see a lot of I didn't, at least from I looked through your social media pages. I didn't see a whole lot about like you guys as a meadery and about like what you guys are,
Hmm.
about at the, what's Queen City's message? Like, what are you guys doing? Like, where's your spot in the mead world?
Yeah, I think COVID really changed it, and we had some change in ownership. So
Sure.
I'm the only original founder left, right?
Got,
And
got you. Okay.
so so we got new partners, and they're awesome. They're very enthusiastic, and we're trying to figure that out. And
Oh,
we had some
awesome.
expansion. Yeah, we had some expansion plans that failed, deals that didn't go through, and now we're pretty sure we're actually going to stay, in this area pretty much. We're pretty sure and expand. So, but that's the thing. The real estate market, the industry, and we just had some internal changes. And now we got a
Oh,
solid, we got that solid team now. So.
so with new ownership, you are you still a part owner, or you just now like the head mead maker? Do you sell your portion of the?
So I still own my original percent of the company. There were two other
Oh,
owners,
okay.
and they left. And
I
life,
got
family, kids, and all that fun stuff, and
Oh,
we still have day jobs. I still have a day job, you know,
oh,
and
absolutely.
and I do this at night, and between that, and all this other stuff going on, they are just like, it was just time. So we got some new people in, who
There,
are 100% on board. Yeah, so it's great.
that's awesome. I'd love to see that you have, support from non-mead makers. A lot of times when you see meaderies out there, it's a single person and their spouse,
Hmm.
really trying to push the thing. And occasionally you see somebody they have like other family members or something, but rarely do you see somebody who's outside, a mead maker, and then pull in outside funding and outside sourcing for funds and stuff like that. Do you
Hmm.
um do you feel that was a step in I guess you should say, you all obviously feel that's a step in a positive direction. Do you think that that's something that more mead makers should look at, is not necessarily just look for funds and look for partnership within the mead
Um,
community, but also expand their, look to other places, business interests?
well, you know, so when we were looking at expansion, we were talking about getting outside funding or loans or this or that. And, you know, at this time, we opted to self-fund because if you bring in
Wow,
those
good for you.
if you bring in those, yeah, we're committed. We're in. And we believe in the product. We believe in the company. We know we have a great product.
Oh yeah.
And, when you get, loans, very expensive.
Hmm.
Investors, the big thing with investors is, you got to deal with
They
them.
want their money back
They want their money back.
ASAP.
Yeah. And even if they have like non-voting,
Right.
influence, they still influence. They're just like, hey, what are you doing? And I've seen that in other places, and it's tough. And
Oh yeah.
we really decided as a group to go in and do it again, because when we opened up, we were self-funded as well. So,
Dude, that makes me so happy to hear that, because I know there's meaderies out there that have, you know, really pushed, like, have obviously found funding somewhere and really pushed a big, heavy social media and marketing campaign. And
mhm.
then, like, you can tell the stuff that you used to have before they started that, and then the stuff that they've made after that. It's like, I see some corners were cut. I see some things have been done a little differently, because it seems like you're trying to satisfy those investor dollars a little sooner, because you're not quite up to what you were, prior
Yeah,
to
I don't.
prior to that.
I'll tell you what, I don't know of that, but I wouldn't be surprised because I've seen it in other
Oh, it's
industries.
just hurt. Yeah,
Yeah, so it's funny. I used to order meat from all over, prior to opening the meadery, and
sure.
I just don't do it anymore. It's like I'm so worried about what I do. It's rare that I'll go online and order from Shrams or somewhere else or
Right.
Moonlight and just see what they're doing. I used to order from Melavino all the time and
Yeah, I don't
just
think Sergio's reopened yet, has he?
I don't
After
think
the hurricane?
so. Yeah, I don't know. I was devastated by that one, man. That was
You guys
crazy.
personally, or by him, by Melavino closing?
All by him, the news and the
Hmm.
hurricane, and because I love this stuff. And he, Earl, years ago when he was head of the American Meat Makers Association, he would just put out so much information, whether it was, the TOSNA protocols or just advice. And,
Hmm.
you could shoot him an email and, hey, how'd you handle this kind of situation? And, he was always great. He would reply to you personally. Just a great guy. So when I heard
Oh,
about
wow.
his place getting hit like that, I was really sad. That was tough because he made some great stuff. He'd come
Yeah.
out with stuff, and I would order a bottle of it, and it's one of those meats where you just sip on it and you don't talk for 5 minutes. You're just like, what the heck did I just drink? And
Right. It's like sitting in a room with an old friend. Like, you don't need to say anything. You can just be in each other's presence and
yeah,
just absorb it all in.
his stuff was phenomenal. I wish I had some bottles left. I drank them all. So
Oh
yeah,
yeah. I was getting into the me game right as he was right. Well, I guess not too long before that happened, but unfortunately, I didn't have a chance to try any of his stuff. And all the trade circles and all the beer nerds that I come across, unfortunately, nobody's had any Melavino bottles that they've been willing to part with yet.
yeah.
So I'm yet to try any
Well,
of his stuff. But
I'll tell you, like I have a lot of people, and they come in and they like their home mead makers, and they ask me for advice.
mhm.
And I will freely give them advice. Like I will tell them,
Sure.
listen, temperature control, choose the right yeast, nutrients, all this stuff. And and I always refer them to the Mead Made Right site, you know, and
Mead made right. I don't know if I've seen that one.
really, meadmaderight.com. And I'm pretty sure Sergio is the owner of that. And it goes over TOSNA protocols and nutrient, stuff. Because I'll tell you what, a lot of people's first meat experiences are from their buddy or a friend, and it's a Joe's Ancient Orange that they let ferment warm, and it's freaking rocket fuel. And I
Oh
can't
yeah.
tell you the number of times someone's come in and like, oh, I had it, my buddy made it, it was awful,
Yep.
and so I hear it. I can't tell you how many times I've heard that. So anytime I got a home brewer comes in, I want them to make good mead.
Right. Oh yeah.
because chances are they're going to give it to a friend and they're going to have a positive experience and they're
Yeah.
going to be more willing to come here. So,
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm 100% on board with people spreading their knowledge of good mead making practices, skills, techniques,
mhm.
tips, tricks, processes, whatever you want to call it. Because I
Yeah,
actually came across a place the other day that was selling their recipes, but they didn't sell any bottles or anything to prove, you know,
yeah.
out there concepts or anything like that, which I thought was kind of odd. I was like $5 to $10 for a recipe, and you have bad practices, like you're using a wooden spoon in your videos. You're talking about not using raw unfiltered honey and like potentially
There,
substitute honeys, and it's like, I don't know, man, it seems a little bit suspect to me.
there is so much information on the internet now about
Oh yeah.
making wine or mead or anything now. And there's some great resource materials, books out there, some great mead books out there.
Yeah.
And meat Ken Schramm's book that that book's
The complete mead maker,
I
yes.
mean that's like the godfather of mead books, really. I think I mean it's some of the
Yeah.
techniques are a little outdated now, but
Right.
the process
Feeding
stands
schedules and
true.
whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah, and but the process and the philosophies he talks about stand true to this day, which is great. So
Absolutely. And yeah, I think that something like that, something that's been, peer reviewed and edited down is a lot better than going through, random Facebook groups and Reddit channels and stuff. Like I 100%, like I'm kind of shooting myself in the foot by saying that, there's a lot of suspect resources there. So, you really have to pick and choose who you're listening to and what you're,
yeah,
where you're getting your information from. But thankfully there are some, decent
yeah,
videos and podcasts and stuff out there that are, at least doing their best to get the information right. I don't think there's any malicious attempts, very few malicious attempts out there at trying to
yeah,
get, poor
yeah.
meat making
You know,
practices spread.
people pick stuff up and they repost it. But
Right.
as we all know, raisins are not nutrients, and stuff. you know,
Are you sure? That's like, I always heard that was ferment R.
yeah, yeah. So I love it when that stuff comes up online, and I always
Oh
try
yeah.
and help people in the posts. You really want to do this, and you don't need
Yeah.
to boil the honey anymore. It's kind of like an old school technique, and you
Right.
know stuff like that. But that's why I don't mind helping people ever.
Excellent. Kind of circle back a little bit earlier in the conversation. You were talking about, mixing, layering flavor profiles and honey profiles with different
Mhm.
yeast strains and stuff. Do you guys have like a house yeast strain that you kind of just use across the board? Do you dial those in per mead and flavor
Yeah.
profile that you're
So
doing? How do you do
yeah.
that?
So there's obviously some strains that work better with whites or reds. Some work better with
Sure.
fruits and stuff like that. Like I'll say this for like white or clear sessions or stuff like that. We'll use DV10. Like that's one of our go-tos that I'll always
Okay.
shoot. But then I do have the other ones that I'll pair up for specific needs because I want a specific floral note or a different kind of mouthfeel. So there are
Yeah.
some that I do use custom yeast strains on, but like DV10 is like a good solid one for our clear needs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dry yeast, wet yeast.
dry. Yeah, we rehydrate. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I really like the concept of wet yeast, but I've heard such mixed reviews across the board. Like, too many times I've heard people getting wet, dead tubes and whatnot. It's like, man, that's a lot of money. And yeah, they'll replace it for you. And, there's a little rigmarole you got to go through, but it's just not worth
Yeah,
the headache for me.
I had a couple bad experiences with wet yeast, and after that I was like, and this is when I was making home batches. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I was doing some sessions with ale yeast, and
Yeah.
it just who knows how long they're in those refrigerators at the little the brew shop. I don't know.
Right.
So after that, I really just stuck to the dries. So
Yeah. And I have one brew shop in Phoenix that I used to go to that they would place custom orders and try to get, like 6 or 7 people to go all in on something. And like that would be like the only way I would consider doing it because I know it was coming in fresh, to me. But yeah, no way I'm just going up to some random fridge to some random brew shop. Oh, hey, look, wet yeast. I'll take this and try that. Yeah, no,
Yeah, they
that's
might have had a
too
power
much of a
outage.
gamble for me.
Yeah, they could have had a power outage the other day and the fridge got warm. Who knows? But
Or yeah,
uh,
who knows how long it sat there on the floor from the UPS guy for 24, 36
yeah,
hours before they got it loaded into the fridge.
yeah,
Yeah, no, forget all that
it's pretty
nonsense.
easy to keep yeast in a cool, dry place. That's pretty simple.
Yeah,
So.
not difficult. Um, in that same vein, do you guys have like a favorite honey variety that you work with, or do you guys pretty much just use wildflower across the board? Do you dial them in per flavor
So
profile? What are we doing there?
it depends. So if it's a mead with a lot of complex fruit flavors, right? I'll probably use wildflower. Like for example, our Admiral has black currant, cherry, raspberry, right? So you got a lot of fruit flavors in there. So we use wildflower, right? Because those flavors are typically going to overwhelm any floral notes you're trying to get with the honey. So you're paying all
Yeah,
this money for all this extra honey, and especially like the black currant, it's just gonna smash it right out of there, right? So, but
yeah,
like with our one meat I told you about, the strawberry banana, the barrel monkeys,
yes,
I
yeah.
use
Never
orange
not
blossom for that.
here.
Yeah, and but I'll use orange blossom for that one,
Okay.
because it's a very lighter flavor. It's not very heavy. The banana is very subtle, so you get those notes from the orange blossom. We do use clover in some meads as well.
Ooh,
So
nice. Little cinnamony
yeah.
texture to it.
Uh, the clover, actually, clover is just very clean. It's a very clean, neutral honey. So, for example, we have a traditional made with clover because I really wanted to stress the cleanness of the ferment and, the product itself, where they get those slight honey notes, and that's all they get, but it's a very neutral honey, I think, and very clean, very clear. And you can tell the difference if you hold up a bottle of clover versus wildflower. I mean, the color difference alone, it's amazing.
Yeah,
And I just like clover for very neutral, to be a neutral pass through almost, let the other flavors shine
very.
sometimes. Yeah.
I'm collecting dark honeys, and I want to do an amalgamation of like 4, 5, 6 different just gnarly dark honeys,
Buckwheat.
and do it as a yeah. I'm thinking avocado blossom, yeah, maybe a little
Yeah.
buckwheat honey, some Mayambo honey I've got laying around, maybe some Manuka honey, something just
I,
something funky, and just put it out
yeah,
there.
it's funny. I had a love-hate relationship with East Coast buckwheat for years, trying to get it to taste good, and
Yes,
I would do absolutely perfect, and it might just be me, but like I would do an actual perfect fermentation, perfect everything. I
yeah,
take a sip of it, I'm like, you
this
know,
sucks.
yeah, and I did batch after batch, and my one buddy's like, stop it, just stop. Never gonna taste good.
Right.
And I hear like West Coast buckwheat's a little lighter. It's not as
Yeah.
barnyardy, and it's I've yet to be able to find West Coast buckwheat honey easily. But I just I gave up on buckwheat. I wish
We
I
got
could,
a
because there's been I've had the one year we were at the Mazer, a buckwheat
Mhm.
traditional one, and I tasted it, and I was like, God darn, how did you do that? You know,
Dude.
uh,
I say I entered a Manuka honey sweet traditional into a competition and took first for sweet traditionals. I was blown away. My wife loved it. Everybody that tried it loved it. I was just like, scientifically and mathematically, this isn't supposed to work. Like
well,
it's not
it,
supposed to be good and
well,
whatnot.
it's very interesting. So I think it's stuff like you're a judge, right? And
Yeah,
it it's really interesting. It's like some competitions, like we had a mead, we entered it in one competition, took gold, right? Same mead, same batch, same year, submitted it to another competition,
yeah,
and it did horrible, horrible.
yeah.
And I was like, you know,
We
so
call
it's very tough.
I've heard that being referred to typically, not almost always, but more often than not, the regional bias. You know, you send something down to say Dormus Cup down in Savannah, Georgia, and you get a completely different read than you do if you send it to like Midwinter or Michigan
Yeah.
Meat Cup or any of the other AMMA, Mazer Cup even. I think Mazer Cup you get a little more kind of a wider variety of judges, but like any of those ones, like you said, that go up in the sugar belt or in the north, yeah, you're going to have those regional biases. If you don't fit into their, cool kids club, yeah, don't even expect anything above a
Well,
38.
well, it's really interesting. So yesterday, the Meat Institute they
Yeah.
they opened up their competition, right? And
Yeah, I don't know what to think of that.
well, it's funny. I was looking at the judges, and they're all wine sommeliers. Like these are wine people who are judging the meats. So
A bunch of
it
Allison's
will,
friends.
yeah, and it's gonna it's probably, but it's gonna be very interesting to see their take on mead. So,
Sure.
like, so we're thinking of submitting some, right? So we
Oh,
would
yeah.
have to
Yeah.
and I'm thinking we would have to enter our most wine-like meads that are dry, off dry, got that tannin quality that they're used to in wines. So something with the
Mm-hmm.
black currant, not too sweet. So, we're trying to strategize which ones we want to enter because if the judges are wine judges, right, who
Right.
are doing this for mead, it's going to be, so you're right. I think you got to change your submissions for wherever the competition is and who you think the judges might be. I don't know. It's very
Right.
interesting
Well,
how one can be
and
so
the fact
good
that they
and so bad somewhere else.
and the fact that they listed the judges, I thought was a pretty legitimate. You're
Oh,
trying
they're
to build this up, and the one thing I did like what I saw, it caught me off guard at first, and at first I kind of poo-pooed the idea, but they have an open category: any mead, any dry, sweet, petulant,
yep.
still, whatever you want to do with this thing, throw it in there, and if you think it's got the huevos to stand up against anybody else, then man, I thought that was a pretty bold move, and I'm really excited to see what comes out of
It's going to be
that particular
interesting.
category.
I was looking at the requirements and like it's pretty legit. I mean, they're like 51% of the fermentable sugars must be honey,
Yeah,
right? So, stuff like that they're putting in there, which is really interesting because, you know, uh,
yeah,
it's it's going to be really. I'm really interested to see who the winners are. Going to be really interested. So,
exactly. I'm with you right there. It's gonna be interesting to see who the winners are. It's gonna be interesting to see who takes them seriously, and values that type of external opinion.
mhm.
I've heard from several mead makers as I'm traveling around and doing my thing, that they don't enter competitions specifically because there are those biases and there are
Mhm.
those different. I guess maybe that's the problem, that it's not different. There's a lot of those same types of biases that you get a lot
Mhm.
of places, and
Yeah, I mean those. I
maybe
was looking
something
at the
like this
picture.
will
I was looking at the picture of the
open that up.
judges, and they are very much wine judges. I mean, I was researching some of the names of these people, and they are legit wine judges.
Serious,
Yeah,
serious
so
wine judges. All right.
it's pretty exciting that they're actually going to take part in a mead competition. It's pretty cool,
Exactly.
for the industry.
Hey, I'm all about it. Man, cat all up in my face here. Come back here, Mr. Cat. Um, yeah, I'm excited to see what happens with it. I think it's an interesting concept, and anytime there's a new competition and a new that doesn't just instantly fall into that AHA BJCP category, with the
Mhm.
same structure, same everything. Somebody trying to branch out and do their own thing. I'm always interested to see how that works out. I might be trying to do something like that myself one day, start my own competition and judging rubric and whatnot. I think that'd be a cool concept.
That'd be very cool. Let me know.
Well,
I'd enter for sure.
oh yeah, dude, we are approaching the 7 o'clock cutoff. Well, not cutoff, but the 7 o'clock
Yeah,
mark here. I've got a quick little inside the mead maker studio type of rapid fire question situation. If you've got a couple extra
sure.
minutes here.
Yeah, sure. Swing away.
All right. Yeah, so this is what I call, like I said, inside the mead maker studio. Try to learn a little bit more about the mead makers in our world here. So, what's the first thing you think about or do in the morning when you get up?
First thing I do when I wake up, I look for my glasses.
Hey, I know that. Man, trust me. Hot
Kick
or
the
cold?
dog off the bed.
Yeah, kick
Ooh,
the dog off the bed.
cold. I
Hot or
like
cold?
cold. I like cold.
Cold. Toilet
Yeah,
paper, over or under?
doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Favorite breakfast cereal?
Ooh,
Either currently
wow.
or when you were a kid, with your choice.
I'm gonna have to go with Life cereal.
Like, hey, you know
I don't even know
what?
if they make it
Life was
anymore.
a good cereal. Hey, Mikey, he likes it.
I used to remember eating bowls of that when I was a kid.
Uh, what was your first car?
Come on, that's a security question.
Oh, oh, that's a secure. I never even think about it like that.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I'm in
What's a?
my day job is in IT, so
Oh, fair. All right. Do you like to cook food?
all the
Are
time.
you a big cook?
I love cooking food. Absolutely.
What's your
Yeah.
What's your favorite thing to cook?
Eggs.
Eggs. The
I
easy to learn, difficult to
I
master
love
meal
eggs.
there.
Love eggs. Absolutely love them.
Oh, favorite style.
Uh,
I'm a heavy over
Poached.
medium guy myself.
So
Oh,
if I have the time, poached. Other than that, over easy.
okay. Nice runny yolk for you, my man. I agree. I like a little bit of run to my eggs.
Toast and hot sauce.
Burger, pizza.
Yeah. Oh, pizza. No question. Pizza.
Oh, burger, pizza, or tacos.
Pizza.
Still pizza on that one. All right. Coffee or tea?
Coffee. Oh, always coffee.
What's the worst job you ever had?
Wow. I worked at a hot dog place making onion rings by hand.
Oh, what?
Oh yeah, yeah. There's a local hot dog place, big in the area. I won't name their name, but they had
No.
homemade onion rings, and I literally have to sit in back, cut onions, bags and bags and onions by hand, and dip them in beer batter sauce, and then put them in
Yeah.
little bags individually. And so literally, I would
Oh,
cry. The job made me cry all the time, literally. So
you're definitely the winner there. That's a pretty rough job, my man. Yeah, billiards or darts?
darts.
Yeah, I'm a dart man myself as
Yeah,
well. If you
yeah.
could have any superpower, what would it be?
Oh, Professor X, read minds.
Yeah, man, if you can read a mind, you can pretty much figure out what to do from there, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, we got a couple finish the sentence questions. If I could star in any movie remake, it would be.
Ooh, remake. Hate remakes.
Well, I mean, just because you're the one making it, or go back and be the star in it. If you could be the
Oh,
star in any movie, it would be.
I'm real preferential of John Wick lately.
Yeah, that's my man right there.
Such a
I
simple
love me some John
concept.
Wick.
You kill my puppy, so I kill everyone in the world. I mean, how much more basic can you get?
Hey, I think it's an absolutely just pretty much a gold standard. Anybody can be on board with that. You killed my puppy. I'm pretty much taking out you and all yours.
I mean, it's like the body count on those series has got to be ridiculous by now.
Oh yeah, yeah. Plus the fight scenes are awesome. The
Oh,
car drives are rad. All that jazz. Um,
yeah, yeah.
if you could have a conversation from anyone in history, it would be.
Ooh, that's a really good one. Anyone in history?
Yeah.
I would have to say historical person.
Yeah, maybe
I would love to
not your
be
favorite, but just somebody that sticks out as something that'd be cool.
Gandhi,
There you go.
just to see,
Interesting to hear what he has to say.
I, I'm sure it would be a very interesting conversation, just his perspective on stuff.
Definitely.
He was a good man, and sometimes not so good man. Wide spectrum of stuff in his life, and for him to come out on the one end like he did was just a very interesting total story arc for him. So,
Yeah, that I always recommend that Ben Kingsley movie. If nobody's seen it, it's a good
oh,
good jumping in point. Go check it out, see that, and do a little research from there.
yeah,
But yeah, Gandhi would definitely be an interesting conversation to say the very least.
yeah.
Um, if I wasn't a mead maker, I would be a.
mead drinker.
Hey man, that's true of all of us. If I didn't make it, I'd still continue to drink it.
I wouldn't stop.
All right, my name is Brian, and I am
I'm a professional mead maker.
right on,
I
man.
did, who would have thought that 10 years ago? I didn't. So,
Hey, it's easy, it's simple, it's straight to the point. Give us a quick once over on where we can find you, what your socials are, where we can find your
sure.
mead, and
Yeah.
all that jazz.
So we are at 290 Center Road, West Seneca, New York. It's outside of Buffalo. www.queencitymeadery.com. You can order from New York State there, or you can go to Vino Shipper. And we're on Facebook and Instagram. And thanks for having me.
Oh, no problem. Thank you so much for being here, Brian. I appreciate it, man. It was a great conversation. I always love to pick the technical brain of the mead makers that I look up to and inspire me. And you guys' stuff sitting out there in Buffalo, New York. The fact that you've survived those winters out there in Buffalo since 2018 and have continued to thrive as a business is an inspiration to me, and it should be to a lot of other people as well.
Yeah, those places, they got the sugar belt. We got the lake effect belt. So, we'll
Hey, yeah.
we'll survive.
And if anybody's heading up to that Buffalo area, remember it's not just Queen City up there. They got 4 or 5 other meaderies. Do the circle, hit them up, go check everybody out, and do the whole Buffalo thing.
Absolutely.
So, thank you very much, Brian. I will reach out into the future. I'd love to have you back sometime, get your opinion on a couple other things.
All right, my friend. Thank you so much.
Hey, have a good rest of your night, brother.
You too. See ya.
Well, thank you all so much for being here. Appreciate it. I had a great time talking to Brian there. He's a wealth of knowledge about everything they got going on there at Queen City. I love their techniques and styles and everything that they were talking about, or he was talking about, that they're doing there. So definitely scope them out. Again, they're on the Vino Shipper. They're, all the places that you're supposed to be, all the social medias and whatnot. So next Wednesday, we will be hitting up another interview. We'll be going back to the 8 o'clock time slot, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, with my man from Speakeasy Meadery. I've tried talking to this cat a couple different times in the past, and it has not really worked out, but we're going to get him dialed in, and we'll make sure that we get us a nice, solid interview, something that's worthy of long-term memory, being posted up all around the webs for everybody to see. So thank you all so much for being here tonight. TK and Drinks, another live interview in the books. See y'all in the next one. Peace.